Hello everybody. I'm so glad today that I had the privilege of speaking to my best doctor ever, Dr. Clement. Dr. Brian is, as you all know, is from Florida, and he has his own institute, and he's one of the best doctors, talking about natural health. And today we are going to be glad that he's going to talk to us about so many subjects we want to introduce to the Middle East. يا جماعة أنا معايا واحد من أهم الناس اللي بيتكلموا في التغذية العلاجية بالنسبة لأمريكا وكندا. هو من فلوريدا أصلا ومن أكتر الدكاترة الممتازين، فأنا هسأله بالإنجليزي وبعد كده هترجم لكم بالعربي. Hello, Dr. Brian. How are you
today? Nice day to see you.
Same here, Doctor. Very glad. Okay, we are going to want to ask you, Doctor, about the most important problem with human health is inflammation. What can you tell us about inflammation, Doctor?
Well, over the 50 years that I've done my work, I've heard a ever-increasing roar from medical doctors and even natural doctors to say inflammation creates disease. That's wrong. Bad lifestyle creates inflammation. So to correct inflammation, you have to change the lifestyle. This is what we've been doing at Hippocrates Health Institute for 64 years. And as a matter of fact, we have many people that come from the Middle East. As we sit here, we have people from Kuwait and Turkey right now at the Institute in Florida. So let me explain what we've learned. That the obvious notorious problems are animal-based foods. So that means chicken. And for you Middle Easterners, lamb and fish and turkey and red meat, and then milk, and then cheese, and then yogurt, and then kefir. The whole list creates inflammation at a high level. Now I'm going to yell at the plant-based eaters out there, because not only meat eaters. So if you're taking flour-based foods, even if they're so-called sprouted but cooked, flour-based foods, they create acid and inflammation too. The other thing that creates inflammation is unripened fruit. And there in the Middle East, you don't grow very much fruit. So it's shipped in from Spain and from the United States and all over. It's unripened and highly, highly acid. Matter of fact, if you took that fruit juice, put it into a container with your bone, you would see it eat the bone away over time. Can you imagine what it does to soft tissue like this? So inflammation, number one thing you can do for it is water. You know, nobody sells you water, so they don't talk about water. It's cheap.
Right on.
So if you have a fire, remember inflammation's a fire. You don't run and put a supplement on it. You run and put the water on it. So,
what kind of water?
Well, distilled water, because the world is so polluted. One of the 25 books that I wrote was called Killer Fish. And in there I had an opportunity to interview 3 of the world's top oceanographic scientists. They all tell me that every drop of water on Earth now, certainly in the Middle East as well, has plastics and pharmaceutical drugs in it. The only filtration system that people can afford globally that really takes that out is distillers. And I've been blessed because by default, not intelligence, when I began all of this a half century ago, I bought a distiller. And by the way, here I am almost 70, and the fact is that when they test my bones, they're not eaten away by distilled water. They say they're like 20-year-old basketball and football players. The number 2 thing, what foods are they? Many of the Middle Eastern foods, by the way. Your ancestry in the Middle East got this. It's the Anglos that didn't get this. Turmeric, it's always part. Fenugreek, it's always part of the Middle Eastern food. And as a matter of fact, Middle Easterners were plant-based eaters. It was slowly but surely the Western influence that brought the meats into you. But you were eating lentils, you were eating fava beans, you were eating hummus. I mean, this is food that's healthy for you. And the fact of the matter is, the greens that I've tasted in the Middle East are greener and better and richer than here in Canada and the United States. So you have a long tradition, but you've been contaminated by the propaganda from the West. You love us and hate us. Hate us more than you love us and you're going to be okay.
You are right, because really what happened, the ancient Egyptians were very, very intelligent, that they came where is the Nile,
yes,
and they built all the civilization where the Nile is.
Exactly.
Because they know that the mud's coming, and that's very, very fertile land.
Oh, very.
Yeah, now like after they built the high dam, you know, like all the fish behind the high dam has become very wild, and the land become less, you know, fertile and more deficient on minerals, as you know, selenium and magnesium and zinc and all of that.
Oh yes, well, I lived in the Middle East for about 2.5 months, yeah, and I lived in Egypt.
Wow.
So the Sadat government was in at that point,
Yep.
and they knew that we were in projects bringing in sprouts and feeding people who were hungry in the villages. So we were flying in 100-pound bags, you know, 48-kilo bags, for actually $3 they cost back in 1977. And we were producing out of 100 pounds, 1,000 pounds of the highest protein, highest vitamins, highest minerals, highest essential fat, and highest phytochemical medicine food on the planet Earth. And I found the Egyptian, I'm not saying this because you're Egyptian, I never lie. You know, Egyptians were the nicest people on the planet Earth.
Thank you.
I mean, I was shocked as an American. You know, we all are supposed to be the civilized one. Well, how come we have to lock everything up? There at night, the merchants didn't even have to lock anything up because nobody would rob it from them. They had respect, and we all have to gain respect. So maybe respect takes inflammation away too. What do you think?
Oh, this is very, very important. When we respect each other, we are more happy. I love your your happiness and your smile, because this is the really key. You know, we know all that stress kills. You know, and when you are under stress, I did lots of hair analysis for people who are doing yoga.
Yes.
I found the sodium potassium level is perfect. You know, I'm not stressed. Anybody who's stressed has very rich. I'm not saying that rich people are more stressed, but you see that.
What are you talking? What are you, prejudiced?
No, but I'm trying to say the more you're rich, the more you're looking to become rich.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Rich means stupid and arrogant and eats shit and crap and all of that stuff. But let me tell you, there's some rich people now that are coming around. We get some of them at Hippocrates, and we get the poorest people in the world that come to us. So we've been having a living laboratory. There's never been an institute or a center in the history of humanity that has used lifestyle to help to reverse and prevent disease and aging. And so we've done clinical research on a weekly basis since 1956. And we see the anti-inflammatory lifestyles don't create inflammation, so you don't get the cancers, you don't get the diabetes, you don't get the heart disease, and the list goes on. And this is simple information. And I know you're in habits. I know we have ethnic ways we eat and what mom taught us and that society says. It doesn't mean it's right. How many things were you told as a child that you now have learned isn't quite right? They loved you, they meant well. They thought that was good because their mothers and their grandmothers told them that. You've got to tell yourself, today is a day we have to look at the real science, the real proof. And if you do that, you can heal yourself and prevent disease, and most important, not age. Who the hell wants to age? In the Middle East, it's the same as here.
Exactly, exactly. Dr. Fine, I know that you have so many, people are waiting for you. I know that you are going to give a lecture today. But if I can ask you one last question, what's the three most important advice to tell my people in the Middle East or people around the world? The three most important advice.
And this is hard because many places in the Middle East are in turmoil now. But your attitude, the way you look at life, the way you see life, and no matter what happens to you, if you can make it nice and make it a challenge and a learning experience rather than a devastation, you hold and carry the rest of your life like a wound that's bleeding. Number two, just reduce the amount of animal foods that you're eating and then eventually work your way off it. Today we realize to save you and the planet Earth, we have to be on plant-based vegan diets. That's what we need to do. Be watching very soon. There's an international movie coming out early next year, 2020, called Eating Our Way to Extinction. And we're coming to the Middle East as well as the rest of the world to show. Game Changers is out right now. Look at the Game Changer. They're the strongest men in the world on plant-based diets. Biggest muscles, biggest strength, Arnold Schwarzenegger. The Terminator is on a plant-based diet.
Wow.
And number three, learn to exercise. Move the body. My God, this morning when I got up here at 6 o'clock, I went right down to the gym. I took a sauna. I take a sauna 365 days a year. And let me give you a little tip there in the Middle East. The United States of America, France, England, Germany came in there in 1991, and all the bombs they were putting in Iran and Iraq, more so, basically had nuclear warheads on them. So many of you are getting sick. I'm seeing a lot of you come to us who are very sick with radiation poisoning at this point. So make sure you're eating a very clean diet, taking saunas, and being happy.
Yeah. You know, as a matter of fact, I got 70 samples from Iraq, from the Basra area, and I tested for hair analysis.
Yes.
And even I show this in my Facebook for my people. I found 2 toxins which is very, very high.
Really?
Uranium and mercury.
You got it.
And I have the data in my drawer, and everybody knows I'm a biochemist for 43 years. I'm a mineral activist, you know. But one last question, what do you think of toxins, doctor, like mercury, you know, cadmium, arsenic, like, you know, uranium, what's the best way of detoxifying the body, if you may?
Well, quite simply, the studies have shown us, and we've been utilizing this at Hippocrates in Florida now for about 40 years, is infrared saunas, very large amounts of the green algae called chlorella, and copious amounts, very, very large amounts of water. So for instance, every day you should be drinking, for every half kilo you have, about 1 ounce of water. When you're trying to detox, you double that. So you could be drinking 4 or 5 or 6 liters of pure distilled water a day. If you weigh what I do, I weigh 180 pounds. I should be taking 60 or 70 little chlorella pills. If I weighed what I used to weigh, 250 pounds, I should be taking 80, 90, 100 of those pills.
Yeah.
So this actually detoxes the body quicker and better than chelation therapy.
Yeah.
And you can buy a sauna and have it for the rest of your life for what you pay for chelation therapy.
Yeah, but you know, doctor, like I'm a biochemist, I test this with my people. You know, like with all the respect, chlorella just detoxify a little bit of lead.
Yes.
But I know that, you know, for mercury, you need to have selenium.
Yes.
You know, and that's why you have to have 1 Brazil nut per day. I know for lead, you have to have high calcium. Like, you know, that's like...
Arugula.
Arugula, and the best calcium ever known to the human being, which Italian knows, this thyme, you know, oregano.
Yes.
Very, very high in calcium,
Yes.
and basil as well.
Yeah.
You know, then every mineral detoxify another mineral. Like I always say, cadmium goes with zinc. Then you have to increase the zinc to lower the cadmium. Lead, it goes with calcium. Calcium and lead. You know, selenium and mercury, and so on. But chlorella is good.
Well,
but,
I agree with you. I think we should do it all.
Sure.
So let's give them a recipe now.
Correct.
So they could take some chlorella, little tablets or powder,
Correct.
and they take a cup and they put in there number 1.
Brazil nut. You see, you need to have 1 Brazil nut per day which has high selenium. And that's what I always say. I tested 86 Brazil nut from around the world. Not all of them has selenium.
Isn't that amazing?
Exactly.
Bad soil, I'm sure.
Exactly. You know, I used to work in a lab which I used to use inductive coupled plasma mass spectrometer dynamic cell reaction.
Oh, that's bad. I wish I had one of those.
Oh, I have 6.
Whoa.
I can take the hair and analyze it and see exactly what's inside the body. And one doctor from Florida, he came to me, he writes books about free radicals.
Yes.
And he told me, this is my Brazil nut, you know, and it has 2,000 parts per million. When I took it to the lab, I found it has 20 parts per million.
Oh my God.
You know, because what happened, company copy and paste.
Yeah.
They don't do that.
Yeah, they take somebody else's research and it's a
Exactly.
Brazil nut. So what
Exactly.
else? They're going to take a Brazil nut, grind it up. They're going to take chlorella.
You need chlorella, you need Brazil nut, you need very high zinc. And as a matter of fact,
mung bean sprouts and pumpkin seeds.
pumpkin seed has zinc, but I love, there is a special company now which I'm working with them to try to get the zinc, what they call it, like lollipop.
Yes.
You can have a zinc lollipop has 7 parts per million. But the secret for zinc, as I always tell my people, take it on empty stomach. Because if you take zinc with any other stuff, it's not digested. It's
And by
not
the way,
absorbed.
if you have zinc, you're going to reduce the possibility of your hair getting white. A little bit of copper and a lot of zinc will prevent your hair getting white.
Exactly. And plus a good chaga mushroom, like I always say, good chaga mushroom. Chaga mushroom has all the alkaline
I like
elements.
that Egyptian accent, chaga.
Chaga.
It's like a French, chaga mushroom. You want to eat that damn thing.
That's right. Oh yeah, like, you know, I always say, Chaga kill Candida, and I showed this, with David Wolf and other people. But I'm really very happy that, an honor, really, to sit in front of somebody like you. I'm really glad. I hope really all the best. You look great. I couldn't believe you're 70 years old.
Well, either can I.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.